Hello everybody and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford and joining me on this episode once again is JP. As we were on yesterday, we were on the post-match of Motherwell. Looking forward to this game. It's the pre-match podcast for Aberdeen away at Pittodrie. Again, JP, before we look into the game, again a full card in Scotland. We kind of mentioned it on the previous pod against for Motherwell. At the end of the pod, again, a full card, really no game on TV. A title race is emerging. Again, it's kind of farcical. Sky obviously kidding on, they're putting money into Scottish football, and it's money, but it's no money compared to what they pump into other leagues. Even the Rangers game at Hibs, how that's on TV, it's a decent class for Scottish football, I would say. Us away to Aberdeen, 9 times out of 10 it's on TV, either it's BT or Sky. So again, there's ways I think we can maybe improve it if we could get the chance to, but it's a bit farcical, mate, isn't it, when you're paying all that money and again you can't get to watch your team play, because let's be fair as well, as I spoke about, it's very hard to get away tickets unless you know somebody or you're involved in the way the things are with the ballots and everything else these days. So it's a bit of a sickness for fans that they can't go and watch the game.
Good evening, mate. As fine. A pattern following here now, especially for away games. It's now becoming harder for your average fan now to see their team. You just said yourself there, not everybody can get tickets. You need to know somebody's grannies, sisters, brothers, wee cousins, uncles, nephews, nieces and stepsister to be able to bring me a shout to obviously just getting your hands in a ticket for the away games now. Even being a season ticket holder at your own club doesn't guarantee that, because then you need to meet a qualifying criteria in order to get tickets for the away games. So, yeah, I would say there's quite a lot of people in the same boat there, but disappointing. But to look at the fixtures, and you say to yourself, and mate, a full card. Sky took a good television deal away for BT Sport, who, in my opinion, Ryan, BT Sport showed a lot of interest in the Scottish game. It wasn't just both sides of the Glasgow derby they would show. They took it right down to the nitty-gritty part of the season, when it was teams fighting for relegation, teams fighting for promotion from the Championship. There would be games on BT Sport. The Premiership second bottom would play the playoffs against the runners-up in the Championships to come up, and so they took a lot of interest. Even your BT Sport pundits, Chris Sutton, John Hartson, even when they were down in England, they were banging the drum about Scottish football, and it wasn't always just Celtic and the Rangers. It was, they would talk about Hearts and Aberdeen and Hibs and Dundee United and all the other teams here. So, in my opinion, Sky have kind of shafted in a way, in that term, that they kidded on, they were interested, went to tender, they bought it, and we now see ourselves in a regular pattern where there's midweek football, and Sky, for whatever reason, don't want to televise a game. It's just baffling to me, right? It really is.
It's like you says, BT. I thought the coverage was pretty decent even after the game. We went through quite a lot, and there was a lot of stuff where with BT, for me, I like the fact that I think was it a cup final against Rangers. They've done a lot of coverage from it. It was 6 or 7 hours or something.
It started at 9 in the morning or something, didn't it?
Again, that's superb. The coverage you get for what you're paying, I thought with BT was decent. And obviously with Sky Sports, sometimes you don't even get much at the end of it. I think against Motherwell, Sky Sports didn't show Celtic celebrating nothing. They didn't show them really doing anything. It's kind of, I don't know what it is. And then before the game, they're always cutting to adverts and they don't give you big things. And they give you wee snippets, interviews and stuff, which is fair enough. And I understand they've got maybe a tight schedule. I understand that. But with BT, like you say, mate, the coverage was good. You'd actually former players who were actually interested in the game, like your Hartsons, your Suttons, even Stephen Craigan. I know people might criticise him for being a Motherwell fan or a ex-Motherwell player, or he might side with Rangers or whatever, but the guys played at a good level in Scottish football. It was a good bit of banter between him and Sutton and Darryl Corey, McCoist, and it was guys who are interested in the Scottish game and guys who know the Scottish game. And even when Neil Lennon was on it, sometimes you had a bit of banter with the panel. It was actually quite a good watch. And for Celtic fans, you see Sutton giving Celtic the big licks and all that. It was actually quite a good bit of banter. You never see Chris Sutton on Sky Sports for whatever reason, probably because you just don't want him on because you know he's maybe too big for Sky Sports. Because for me, Sutton's superb. Even maybe the BT, Michael Stewart, guys like that, it was all guys with a good opinion, and for me it was superb. You go to Sky Sports and no disrespect to Chris Boyd, right? The guys played at a decent level, but he's a wind-up merchant, we all know that, and sometimes I think he says all right things, but sometimes he steps over the mark, and we all know for the other day with McGregor, he stepped over the mark. He's always on games where Celtic playing. I understand he's got a contract with Sky Sports, but why is he always on Celtic games? He's always on Celtic games. He's always got an opinion about Celtic. Surely it should be, say it's Celtic Aberdeen, it should be a Celtic player and an ex-Aberdeen player, like maybe McInnes and Hartson, or Petrov and McInnes, or Wally Miller and Petrov. Do you know what I mean? Why is it Chris Boyd and Dent McInnes? Why is it? Do you know what I mean? I just think the coverage is going to be better. Maybe a shake-up of who's maybe doing the games just to freshen it up. Because let's be honest, see if Chris Boyd keeps interviewing, keeps on the Sky, Celtic fans won't watch it just because he's on it. They'll go to Celtic TV or they'll go to Aberdeen TV. Sky will lose pundits because if the fans aren't getting the quality that they think deserve with either fresh pundits or fresh ideas with whoever's on talking, fans will turn off. I'd rather watch Celtic TV on my telly than I would Sky, because it depends who's on it. Because I used to like BT, like you says, with Michael Stewart and that were on it. It was a good laugh. It was scripted very well beforehand. You get mind that one with Stephen Craigan, side tackle Sutton. That was a laugh. Do you know what I mean? That wouldn't happen with Sky Sports.
Tackle,
that wouldn't happen with Sky Sports because it's all going to look good. It's all going to be Sky Sports. I just agree with you, mate. I think BT was a far better product for the Scottish game.
It was, mate. And they were the wee instances I had in my head there when I actually made that statement there about BT. They used to give you, like, as you say, they never just done it with that side tackle. They done other wee gimmicks where it would be something that maybe happened in the week's football, and then they would do a kind of mock-up wee bit of banter with it before the show would begin. Or, right, big man, you're running late. Right, big man, let's go. You're running late, and it would be Big Sutton getting out of bed and they used to do wee things that, and you're right, Sky are a wee bit more serious and a bit more straight-faced when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Ryan, in terms of the punditry panels. James McFadden, I think he's the other one, isn't he? Normally is on and off it as well. I've nothing really against James. James he's got quite a broad knowledge of the game. He speaks very well. I like him because he's a big Scotland fan as well. He's a big Celtic fan as well, and he always has been. So I think that always helps. But in terms of, you mentioned him, Chris Boyd, I don't really. I turn my telly down, mate, when he's on the telly. He's that interesting. I think even for Sky, mate, he's as useful as a handbrake in a canoe. I really don't know what he gets paid to do. As you said yourself, he's a wind-up merchant. He's not even good at that because his patter is absolutely bogging. It's terrible. He must be collecting penguin wrappers just to try and get jokes. I don't know what he does when he's not on screen, but when he's on screen, it's embarrassing. and it's embarrassing for him, and it's embarrassing for the company, because they're having to pay a wage to a guy who, I don't know if this is just me, Ryan, and this isn't, by the way, this isn't anything to do with the fact that he played for who he played for. This is to do with what I see when he's on the telly. He's one of the most awkward people to watch on TV.
Mm-hmm.
See, when other people are talking, just say he's in the studio and he's maybe with Stan Petrov, Christoph Berra, or John Hartson, and they're all chatting to Ellie Barber. He'll be sitting there, and he's got that wee kind of Beatles look about his face, like utter weirdo stuff, you know, like staring at the camera, like as if, you know, it's like a weird look he's got in his face, and it's just dead awkward to watch. And then obviously his recent comments with Callum, about Callum, and then he's trying to kind of play it down about, no, that's not what I meant, and absolute nonsense. Why say it? Why even make comment if you were meaning something else, you would have said something else. When you're sitting there, the team you support's just been absolutely pumped, and the first thing that comes out your mouth is, even him with a mask, I can't believe nobody tested that mask. Or words to that effect. That probably wasn't it word for word right enough, but words to that effect. Meaning, he can't believe somebody got an elbow, or maybe, you know, the mask as in got in about McGregor, or got into McGregor's face, and, you know, seen what it was about. I think the reason why nobody was able to do that was because Callum McGregor's an absolute Rolls Royce midfielder.
Yep.
And nobody is good enough to get that close to him. First and foremost, you need to be good enough to be able to do that, right? So Chris Boyd's also, he's not just talking about Callum McGregor, the Celtic player, right? He's also making comment, bearing in mind, he's making comment on Callum McGregor, a Scotland internationalist.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also on the coverage for Scotland games as well. So, you know, I think he needs to be really careful with his choice of words. And I think whether he thinks that was banter, or whether he thinks it was maybe something else, or whether he's claiming he didn't mean to be harsh, or he didn't mean that to be the way it seemed. The way that was printed in the paper, and the way that everybody and their granny and their wee dogs read into that, it doesn't make for good reading, mate, the way that was said. It doesn't matter how many times he says it. But deep down, we're not stupid, and we don't need a translator to understand what he was meaning, right? And that again, mate, that's just my opinion. But if he meant something else, why not say something else? Why did he have to say what he said if he didn't mean that?
Aye, mate. Like I says it on the podcast, I don't know if it was to you or it was to Sam in the morning, the corner of the game, the Rangers game. I did say, like, if I was a football player and I see somebody with a weakness, I would exploit it to a certain degree, but there's a difference between letting you know somebody's there and put a tackle in than try to, as he says, maybe injure him. I've always said, if I played football and there's a guy with a dodgy knee, I would test his knee. But there's a difference between testing his knee than trying to fucking do him in. It's a big difference. And what he was saying was basically, why does someone not give him a fucking elbow to test his face out? Big difference between giving somebody a wee slag dig to the knee or to whatever. It's a big difference between letting you know somebody's there than basically try to do his cheekbone in again. It's a big difference. And I knew what Boyd was trying to say, right? But the way he says it, he made it out a lot worse. And that's what you're saying, the choice of words. Maybe he didn't mean it that way, but the way it's come across is what it's came across. And it's not come across in good fucking reading. Sorry for my language, but it was very fucking poor for us. A guy that's might be a pundit. And I understand McGregor's obviously been in contact with him and it's squashed. So it is squashed, but it's something, if something like that happens again, like it happened when he mentioned about Leigh Griffiths. Kilmarnock, he was ripping Leigh Griffiths to shreds. Again, how that wasn't picked up. Other things. But again, as I say, I'm trying to be as balanced as I can. The guy had a good career. as a football player, whatever else. But there's certain aspects of a pundit you've got to be careful what you say. You're not just a Rangers fan, you're a pundit for Scottish football. You need to watch what you're saying. You need to watch how you're reacting on TV. Like he says, when his team win, he's all happy, smiling, he's up by them and they'll get beat. He's seeing his face, he's not happy. I understand your teams get beat, you're not happy, but you're a pundit on a game. You meant to be your honest opinions. You need to be honest, but there's being honest and then there's taking over the mark. I agree, you mate. I think things need to change when it comes to the shake-up of Sky. Even if it's, I'm not saying he's got to be off TV because that's not my place to say. That's not the Sky, they employ him. But they've got to maybe shake up. Maybe once a meet boys on it or whatever. For me, they need to swap it about. They need to get fresh ideas in because people will turn off. And I don't know what fans would think. Was a wee idea I came up with, or I seen on Twitter, and I'm kind of going to explain it because I don't know if the guy's point get across. I don't know if fans, I don't know if you would be interested, if something you would think of JP, but for me, I think it's quite interesting that he says, I can't remember the guy's name, I'll need to get his Twitter to kind of quote him on it, but he basically says that why don't the SPFL, again, it's finances, how they finance it, I don't know, but why don't they get a camera at Mace runs, or maybe take a vote of what teams want to have a camera at a game and pay a £10 a month and have it as SPL TV or Scottish Premier League TV, whatever, and you pay a £10 a month and you get every game streamed that your club plays home and away. And I generally think Mace fans, as long as the quality was good of the TV, it was a proper TV setup, I think fans would do it. Like, just basically, I know all these clubs have got Celtic TV, Aberdeen TV, Celtic Hearts TV, but instead of the clubs, I know that the clubs do that for their own financial benefit, I understand that. But the clubs still have that if they want, because maybe fans might just want to watch Celtic TV. But as an SPL TV, why don't you just pay a £10 a month and you get to watch streaming of your, maybe even the old games back that you've missed? Just something that guy, I can't remember the guy's name, I'll need to find his Twitter if I can find that again. But I thought that was quite a good point. Why don't the SPFL have their own, instead of, obviously Sky will probably still want to say it because Sky's one of the main football kind of programmes for streaming and stuff. So I don't know if that's something that could be implemented at all.
No, I think that's a brilliant idea, Ryan. And again, mate, this touches on a conversation I've had many years ago with family and friends about the way the German football shut down, and then they revamped it all, and they've got their own TV. Why can we not do that? Why do we need to always be last? It's the same with VAR, mate. VAR's the exact same. Why do we need to be last with every single thing we do? Like, they're now talking about, because they want to, I read something about it yesterday, they want to help to bid with England and Wales for, I think it's the World Cup in 2030. And they're talking about now redeveloping Hampden. Why should it take for something like that to come along,
money to
give you a kick up the backside? But Ryan, that's the thing. See, if they really wanted to generate, they would be able to generate it through other avenues. There's got to be plenty of other avenues that they can go through. But why wait till there's a kick up the backside, something like that, to come along before they go, do you know what, we really need... The fans have been screaming for us for the last 5 to 10 years about Hampden. VAR's the exact same. Why have we not got it? We're talking about Cowden Beef and like Albion Rovers and Arbroath, and I'm not talking about any kind of teams. I understand where they would be in terms of finances to finance it. I don't really know all the figures myself, but the Scottish Premier League should be able to afford having that as an option. And our referees, my God, our referees do need the help.
I think it's...
With the whole VAR thing.
I agree, mate. I wasn't a big fan of VAR when it first came in because obviously the way sometimes it's very slow. Obviously, all new technology does take time to get used to, but I kind of thought it took the referees' game away from me away, because the referees make decisions and then now people are saying, well, just in case you go to the line, going to go and check VAR, everything's getting checked with VAR. So I agree with you. I think football either most or the big leagues that either get VAR or they just scrap it. Every league's either got to have the same or they don't, because it's going to help Scottish football and any football main league if everything follows the same protocols, the same rules and whatever else, because like you says, the referees need a bit of help now. There's not really a lot of referees coming through. I know I don't really look into the referee kind of grassroots level, but you don't really hear anybody going a bit about a referee these days, because they know they're going to get absolute abuse. They're not going to get paid very well at this level. They might get 800 quid to £1,000 a game, fair enough, decent amount of money, but sometimes the abuse you're getting, the publicity, is it worth sometimes the scrutiny, and it comes to your obviously mental health as well. So I think the referees need help. Need help when it comes to decisions, and especially these days, because the way football is getting faster, players are getting fitter, quicker, everything's going quicker, apart from the technology and the referee side. Like you says, the Scottish government, Nicola Sturgeon and whoever else, Douglas Ross, a lot of them, as soon as something happens with Scottish football, if it's Celtic or if it's a David Goodwillie thing, or if it's Leigh Griffiths, or if it's Rangers, whoever it is, Aberdeen, if there's something that comes up that they need to get the word in, or they'll get the word in, no bother, they'll help out, no bother that way. But as soon as it comes to Scottish football needing help, nah, that's a football thing. Nah, there's no money for Scottish football. But they'll question Scottish football, they'll ban people for Scottish football, but they won't get involved to help the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
You either get involved with Scottish football or you don't. You can't get involved with different things. You either help the game or just stay away from it, because there's too, like you say, there's too many things they try and get involved in. Even with us stopping the fans, I will stop the fans. But where's the help for the clubs? You'll help. I know people will suffer through this with no well, losing jobs and houses and stuff like that, which is tragic. But the government will give people money then, but it won't give clubs money. Do you know what I mean?
I think they did.
To a certain degree. But it's
what was it they gave? Was it 5 million or something they distributed between, with parachute payments and stuff? I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I do remember a while back reading about they deployed some cash for, I think it was the Scottish Premier League, wasn't it?
But like you say, it's how they clubs, it's not going to tide someone. Obviously, Celtic, Rangers, fair enough. Maybe Rangers, I don't know how much they're going to have to help them, but bigger clubs can maybe to a certain degree get by. But like you say, you're having overseas, your Cowden Beefs, they can't survive without fans and stuff like that. They need as much help as they can. But again, I'm trying to talk about the coaches because I'm throwing a football. It's totally just about football. I just hope that, like you say, we're always last to everything. The VAR, they either instead of talking about it, they either say we're going to get it or we're no. None of this. We're thinking of money or we're thinking this. See, I'm like you, mate. If the Scottish, if the SFA really want to get VAR, they'll get the money and they'll get it. Even if it's getting money off the clubs to try and promote it and get it, they'll get it somehow. Because they'll get money for other things. So why not get it for something that's going to... They might even get players to come to Scotland. People want to buy and invest in Scotland if they know that it's done right. That was the only thing. I don't know what you thought of the full VR thing that first came out, mate, but I was only against it here because I was like, it's not really ran very well. It's taking 23 minutes to get decisions, and players are stoking, they don't want to celebrate a goal anymore. But it's getting a wee bit better now, and I think if it's officiated properly and every official knows the job and it's all technically wise, it's all superb, then I don't see any reason why we can't get it and why I would be for it, because it would just help the game.
I agree, mate. I've always kind of liked it, right? In terms of, again, mate, it's a big help to the officials because they've got to see something first time with a naked eye. And I'm not a referee, mate, but I would imagine 9 times out of 10, mate, if you've not properly saw it, then the rest of it's guesswork. And you've got to do the best of your sort of common sense. I do think some of the referees, well, certainly from the outside looking in, need to learn about the game more. Because I've seen some, in terms of recent games, both sides of the border, I've seen fouls being good for things you're going like, why are you getting a foul? That's never a foul. I've seen players getting booked for speaking to the ref and asking the ref a question, although they've brought that in now that it's only the captain that's allowed to speak to the referee. Not to both team captains. So if you want to get a point across to the referee and you're not your team captain, you need to then go to the team captain and say, right, I'm not happy with that, can you ask him that? And then the captain's got to go, what a load of nonsense. You're on the same pitch as a guy. How can you not go and speak to him? All you want is transparency for his reasoning for what he's just done. So when you get that decision, you just, as I say, the transparency, what he's just done, so that you can have an understanding where he sees it in that moment. And we're just seeing far too much the refs just making guesswork decisions, costing teams all sorts of points. And I suppose in a way, Ryan, the refs bring a lot of grief on themselves because the lack of the transparency. Because I don't think referees, they don't back themselves up often enough. They leave themselves open to criticism, which is why the fans are always, every other game, mate, there's a complaint about them.
Mm-hmm.
We're hearing this season, managers have complained about them. And it's, so in terms of the VAR, they need help. They need some sort of help. And if they're not willing to accept external help, then we need to bring technology. And everybody will tell you, technology, they say technology doesn't lie. But I understand VAR's no 100% and it's no bang on. It certainly gives the referee an opportunity to then go and look at an incident as many times as he fucking wants, to then make his own decision in his mind of what he thinks should be the next, how the game proceeds for then on. And the standard of Scottish referees, absolutely atrocious. Atrocious, mate. It is, but I wouldn't even say they're as good as amateurs, some of them. And the reasoning that they give in match reports for decision making in certain games is an absolute shambles. And sometimes I would imagine you would look at a bit of paper and you would go, did you bring your 5-year-old niece into the room to write that report for you? Because that is embarrassing.
There's been a lot of things, mate, where I would say some of the decisions as well have been very poor. And I do think, like we says, if we done something wrong in our job, you would get into trouble. Sometimes theirs gets under the carpet, which again, I know it's their job and they're trying their best, but sometimes when you don't do your best, you should get what the SFA like to call is retrospective action. So I agree, mate. I think VAR should get introduced. I know they're looking into it. Whether or not it's next year, the year before, or the year after, sorry. It'll be interesting to see when it happens, because I do think eventually, through pressure, obviously the fans and obviously maybe Scottish football as a whole, I think eventually they will get it. It's obviously finances will obviously talk to a certain degree.
I think they voted for it, Ryan, haven't they? Have they not voted
so.
to say that it's coming in after the World Cup, apparently?
Supposedly, but I'm like you, mate. I take things a pinch of salt these days until it happens. Until it happens, I'll know. It's the exact same if we sign somebody. I'll know what's to do much until we get a scarf for his neck or he's at a press conference with Anne. So, and I liked as well with Big Hartson on Go Radio night was superb. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I've not had a chance to see it. No.
He says he's talking about Chris Boyd. He says, I don't know. He was basically saying, why did Rangers players not get that close to McGregor? And obviously the mask thing. And Hartson says, I don't know what Chris Boyd's talking about because he never going to anybody. He says Chris Boyd never going to anybody in a football park. So what's he talking about? I'm like, that's superb, man. Again, I know Hartson's having a bit of banter, but Hartson's been serious here. He's like, Chris Boyd never going to anybody in a football park. So what's he talking about McGregor for? Do you know what I mean?
And he didn't like a challenge either.
Nah.
Boydie.
So I did like that for Hearts. It was quite funny when I seen it. So, but again, mate, obviously big game again tomorrow. Aberdeen, I'll be for home. I do believe that, like we say, like if we turn up the same fashion we have been the last few weeks, Aberdeen have been struggling for form. There's more pressure on Stephen Glass. Well, they'll even make top six. I know there's rumours about maybe Snodgrass going to Aberdeen. How that'll be done from the Mora if it's true. Again, if he does sign for Aberdeen, it's a good play for Scottish football, and it should attract maybe more viewers to watch him play because he's still a very talented player. It will bring quality to whoever he signs, if it's Aberdeen, Habs, or whoever it is. They'll maybe talk about him signing for. But for us, mate, I think if we turn up in the same fashion, I can't see too many changes. I think maybe it might be the same team. It might play because it might want to keep momentum. But again, like we've said, the amount of options we've got, no matter who we play tomorrow, you're expecting to win.
Yeah, very much so. I don't really see. Again, mate, I'll touch on it. Like, I think 7-8 years are going to need to be really poor for any other team to gain anything on us, and possibly even beating us. I can imagine Aberdeen are going to try and kind of make it dogged, try and make it hard for us to play, as all teams probably will, because, like I said before as well, you're looking at that Celtic team now, and you're looking at you're getting steamrolled out of the tappy because the guys we've got are just absolutely relentless. But Aberdeen away is never an easy game. I would imagine Scott Brown might come back into the team tomorrow, especially for the experience side. But to be honest, mate, I don't think even Scott Brown's going to be able to help Aberdeen tomorrow. I think Aberdeen are very low in confidence just now. They seem to be going through a spell where they just can't buy a win now. They're really struggling for form. And I'm actually quite surprised because, like I said last night, he's been backed, Stephen Glass. Mm-hmm. He's not just had a dodgy budget and he's had to make the best of what he's had, because he has been backed, albeit okay that he's had to try and recruit well. And if you look at terms of players he's brought in, I think he's in double figures for the squad overhaul he's gave them. He's let guys like Niall McGinn go. Again, Niall's a very experienced player. I mean, when times get hard for you, Ryan, experienced guys to try and help you dig you out the hole. But he's decided to let Niall go to Dundee, and obviously he's got Johnny Hayes, he's got Scott Brown, but I just don't think they're enough to help the young lads like, say, Boy Ferguson and the young lad McCrory, and because when kids are struggling for form, they need an experienced head beside them. Mm-hmm. They need somebody that's capable of putting their arm around them and saying, right, come on, let's just keep training, keep working at it, it'll come. But for them, you could probably say the games coming for them are games that they probably don't want just now. They're probably facing a different Celtic side for the Celtic side that went up there and beaten 2-1 early on in the season as well. So they'll not be looking forward to that. Mindset will probably be thinking about what team we're going to be playing. Again, that relates back to our squad depth and the quality of the squad. And you'll start to see teams now, as we progress, Celtic putting the fear of God into them. Let's face it, I mean, you've got that quality and abundance. I mean, if I was a right back and a left back, I wouldn't be wanting to be going up against Jota or Abada. I wouldn't be looking forward to it now. If I was a centre half, I wouldn't be looking forward to the wrestling match I'm going to be getting against Giakoumakis. And he just doesn't stop. So, as I say, you've got a couple of Aberdeen. I've got to have 8 squad playing at 8, 9 and 10. in my opinion. 3 or 4 of them off it. Done. Game's done. Again, we would say it's a tough game, right? I'm not so sure, mate. I don't think games are going to be tough for Celtic now. I think, as we spoke about as well, Celtic are going to, take a game away from teams, and they've certainly got the manpower now to do that.
I agree, mate. I think obviously as a fan you've got to say obviously the game's hard, but if you look at the squad retrospectively, I would say that you're kind of getting to the stage now, like we've said before, with Rodgers' team, you're expecting us to win, just win now. You're even talking about how many by now. Is it going to be 2-0? Is it going to be 3-0? Is it going to be 4-0? Again, you don't want to get too overconfident because, like you says, every game, football, you never know what happens with football these days. We could drop points and but see the way Scottish football is, mate. See if we drop points, it'll be Celtic. That's it. Title's finished. That's Ange Ball just about stopped. That's just the way football is going to be now.
That's the Ange Ball bust.
Yep, that's why we need to continue just to keep going and under the radar as we've been going. Even I've listened to a few kind of wee snippets with people talking in podcasts and radio and news the last few days, and they're all surprised the way we're playing. And I'm like, why are you surprised? There was signs at early doors. It was just, we all knew he had to get his team, and he even said it himself, just wait till we're off it, wait till I get my squad back, and you'll see my football. And like you says, the first few early games, you seen some of the football was getting there, it was getting there. But now it's like, well, to us, we're there. But he's like, nah, we're just getting there. We're just starting to get there. I'm like, like you say, wait a minute, Hatate's no fit. What? Jamaki's no fully fit. All right. It's getting the juices going again to go and watch the team, and the fans are all buying into it. And like you say, I believe, I don't want to sit here and say it's going to be 6-7-0 because that's disrespectful. But I do expect us to win the game. It's always I expect us to be, again, loads of corners. I'm going to say 4-0 again. I'm going to predict a clean sheet. I'm going to predict this again to be bang on right away. I think we'll have the early doors ball, but I think Aberdeen will try and shut us in the early doors. I don't think they'll sit back. I think they'll try and get at us. And I think maybe we'll need to weather a storm in maybe first 5-10 minutes. But I think after that, we'll just start playing football. I think once we get the first real chance, I think that'll be it. We'll just continue to be ruthless and just try and get more goals. I do think Aberdeen will try and hit us, but I think when they see the way we are going to play, like you say, it's totally different for the team that won the game 2-1 the last game, which we spoke about might have been the game that changed people's opinions. By the way, Celtic are going to come under pressure because, like you says, I know it was only a few points in it at the time, but they're all talking about Ange. If he loses this, is he going to get sacked? Is he going to lose his job? And you're thinking, this is crazy to even talk about this at this point in the season. Starfelt's a bomb scare. Starfelt's this guy's this. Who's this Jota guy? And then they win 2-1. And ever since then, we've looked back. I think we're 19 games unbeaten. I think it is 20 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
We've only been behind for 14 seconds or something as against Hibs. That's thing get spoken about. It's remarkable. That's a Sam put it in a group chat, and that's a.
Was it no Leverkusen?
Sorry,
it was Leverkusen.
Aye, sorry, Leverkusen.
Aye.
But I think the only time we've really been behind was it Hibs recently, in the semi-final or the final.
Aye.
So I think again that stats just being thrown out. So people are talking about the defence is poor. We've got, I think Joe Hart's got the most clean sheets. Don't get me wrong, if that's right, I might be wrong, but I think he's got the most clean sheets in the league. He's hardly I think he says he can be sitting with a cigar and a newspaper with some of the games he's played because he's nothing to do. But that shows you as well.
Last Wednesday night, the PlayStation on it behind the goal, mate. It was.
But that shows you as well how good the defence is doing because he's not having to save shots. If that was last year, this is one reason why Barkas was. Let's be fair, we all know Barkas did very well last year. But because every time teams were attacking, there was shots on goal. He was getting bombarded every single game, but Joe Hart's not getting that this year because the defence is solid. For the strikers to the defence, we're starting to get really solid now. We're all a team. And like he says, every game now you're thinking, right, just win. Just win. There's none of this, right? Right, how are we going to set up? How are we going to play? How are we going to... It's just we know how we're going to set up now. We know how we're going to play. And you're just expecting another victory.
Aye, definitely, mate. And that breeds confidence. Everybody to a man right now in that Celtic team, even the subs, are playing out their skin. Out their skin. Every one of them.
Yep.
I can't remember the last time, possibly even look at Brendan's Invincible season, to the last time this happened. Again, they all know their roles, they all know what's happening, they all know what they're doing. And everybody knows they've got a role to play on the squad, and they know what it is, and they're just carrying Andy's instructions out for them. He's getting asked questions, and I don't know if you've picked up on it recently, Ryan. What have you done different? What is it you're doing with him? What is it you're saying to him? What is it? And he's like, I'm not saying anything to him. He says, this is what happens when you bring people who get what the club means, who understand the values, and get what the club means through supporters. And this is what happens when you people who want to be here. You have a team who are willing to go to battle every time they go on the field. They all, like I say, I've said it before as well, right? They look like a family. They look as if they've all known one another for years.
Yeah.
Have you watched those, even the training videos that get put up, you see some of them walking out. Training video, like I seen the day, it was a bad and Jota, and Jota's trying to say aye, like the Glasgow slang, aye, like making me jokes. Now, I guarantee you, 2 weeks ago, Abada walks out and it's Maeda he walks out with. Before that, it was Jota walking out and it was Gucci he walked out with. But this is the thing as well. You're not seeing wee cliques, is what I'm getting at. You're seeing people walking out with different people all the time, and I don't think for 1 minute that's just put on for Celtic TV for the cameras. Or you can see the relationship with them all when it becomes a match day, and you know they win, lose or draw, they'll go in and they'll applaud at Parkhead. They go in and applaud all the supporters, and they thank everybody for coming out to watch them, and they do the exact same at the away grounds as well. They go up to the supporters and they thank the supporters. But that isn't a new thing. That's not something they've just started doing. They've done that for, I would say, Brendan. Brendan had them doing that, and then it would be Brendan out on the field with them as well, like clapping horns and like waving to the fans, and then you've got Ange doing that. Lennon never done that. Lennon was right down the tunnel after the game. Left the players to do it. And even at times, some of the games the players weren't doing it. Because it was like, right, let's get off the park. That's not what you do, you know, that's where the big divide came, Ryan, in my opinion, as well, between the supporters and the club. Because we weren't getting that togetherness that we're certainly getting now under Ange. And it's through him, Ryan. He's brought everybody together. He's inherited what he's inherited. He's thought to himself, hey, hold on a minute, there's a lot of discontent here, there's a lot of things that are there's a few fractures in here that I need to sort. And by God, as he sorted it, Ryan, he's not only fixed his relationship, the relationship between the fans and him, he's also fixed the relationship between the fans and the squad, because last season's squad and the fans, there was a lot of discontent, and we saw acts of hatredness against certain people last season, right? Which me as a Celtic fan, I felt disgusting. I'm all for everybody's entitled to their opinions, and You know, you're allowed to say what you're allowed to say. But there's ways to conduct yourself when you're doing it. And as a Celtic fan, to see fans down at Celtic Park having to be barricaded off with police and picking up fences and just acting in an appropriate way at all. I thought that was disgusting, personally. And now there's a total mind shift for that altogether now. I even reckon Celtic could get and lose a game, and he's not going to get anywhere near the backlash Delia got or Lennon got last season. But if Aberdeen was to beat us tomorrow, it would be like, right, okay, let's go. We've got Rafe Rovers next week. We'll get it back to float because there's still plenty of time now to, you know. But that was Delia's team tomorrow night, and they were up to Aberdeen, and Aberdeen turned us there 2 or 3-1, 2 or 3-0. He'd be ridiculed off through the papers, all our social media, every pundit on BT Sport, Sky, whatever ones it would be. Celtic TV would be into him and all. Because you get, that's what happened to him. And that was all to do with him being a foreigner, and nobody really heard of him, and a similar stance in that aspect for Ange. But Ange is, I mean, let's face it, Ange has only won the League Cup.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see where the team's gone because he's been allowed now to come in and build a team, and they've backed him blind, Brian. The board and all. I mean, there's been a chop and change with the board this season as well. But they've backed him blind. They've brought him in and they've backed him. And he's went to them and says, look, I know this guy. I want to bring him in. The board have went, no bother, come. The deals were done straight away. And the rest is history, as I say, mate. The guy's obviously got an eye for a player, and under this manager, Ryan, like I says, I can't see how Celtic start all of a sudden playing poor so quickly. It's going to. He's talking about they're going to get better as the season's progression down towards the end of the season, and they're going to peak down towards the end of the season. If that's not them peaking the now, I dread to think for teams in the league what's round the corner, mate.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It's a scary thought for the rest of Scottish football, and that's how it's just getting to fitness and getting to peak, even small peak level. The fact that he's saying that himself and he knows they can get better, it is a daunting thought for the rest of Scottish football, even Rangers. Because I don't care what anybody says, no matter who Rangers signing Aaron Ramsey or signing better players, but if you've not got the coach with the philosophy and the team as a whole that buys into the same thing like we've got to now, they won't play that football. Nobody else in Scotland will play the brand of football we've got. Nobody will do it. They've not got the players to do it. They've not got the manager's prowess of how to do the tactics, because that's the way Ange is. It's all about attack. The way I see Rangers playing, it's the kind of Dutch type thing. I don't think Van Bronckhorst will go away for that, because that's the football he knows. The same way Ange, the football he knows is just pure attack. But what we've seen, like he says, against St Johnstone, we're doing to kind of what we would call the bare bones, and they changed the system and the players adapted to that. Last year we couldn't adapt to any of other formation apart from the way we played. Players were coming in and chopping and changing, and some players were looked a bit like, I don't know what they do here. Like he says, the boys Harper and Opelflex, the gap for the first team to develop the squad. You've seen the boy Moffat this year, Dawson, boy Ben Doak. The gap looks a bit, the ability wise looks a bit more better. Suppose, again, I'm only going with 3 players. It looks a bit less than it was last year. I don't know if that's because, like, I don't know if you spoke about it as well, but I say in a previous podcast that everybody's got to have the same hymn sheet. If it's the development squad, they play a full 3-3. The youth team play a full 3-3. Under 13s, 14s, whatever it is, they all play the same as the first team. It's the same way of playing, because if they play the same level of football, the same play, all the way up, and then they end up signing for the first team, they all know their job, they all know how to play. But if one's playing 4-1-1 or 4-4-2, defensive style here, attacking here. It's all going to be the same, and I think that's the way. It's going to be, and that's the way it is under Ange. I think he's set a philosophy all the way up, and you can see the fruits of that now. Guys like Ben Dokes come in, and he's just boom, attacking, boom. And I agree, mate. It's a big shift between the fans, the board. We're all the board. We've not forgot what's happened, but because of the way the back Dan's blind, and they basically gave him, I think it's something. I might be wrong, it's around about £20 million or something roughly to spend. They've given him a lot of money. But again, the way we've done our transfer business, the board have been wise because it's not actually money out of their own pockets. It's money we've got. It's money we've Ayer and Christie and Edward. So that's what you've got to think of it as well, mate. Right? We win the league this year, right? You're going to get, just say, £30 million at minimum, right? Plus, you might sell a big player, right? Or they might know because obviously they might want to stay because you've won the league and qualified. So you're getting that money. Plus, you might have the money, maybe £10 million, £18 million. I think it's £18 million, I think, roughly in the accounts sitting there. That's just set up towards £50 million, and that shouldn't even bought a player. You've not even sold a player. That's without season tickets. That's without training gear. How healthy are we going to be sitting? And I'm not going to say the fans will forget the 10 in a row season, but see in 6 months' time when if we've got that and you're financially more secure, you're kind of going to go, do you know what? Maybe it's took that season to really fix the club, because we did say months ago, before obviously the season ended, that things had to change. That we were talking about October time. Listen, this had to change now, and. If we had to lose the 10 and it had to make sure that next year was better, some would have probably took it. And at that time, because we knew things were going to a shit show. And I'm like you, mate, when it comes to the things when the scenes we've seen last year, I'm all for having your say and paying your money and having your say, but I'm not going to say I agree with it because I don't agree with it. I just wish the board acted quicker before it got to that rate. It shouldn't have got to that rate. It shouldn't have got that rate in the first place. But the board should have called it well beforehand, and nothing like that would have happened, because I think just the fact that we couldn't get into the stadiums made it a bit more heightened, and it was only way fans could really vent their frustrations. And you know yourself, JP, when the fans aren't happy, and the fans say what they need to say, eventually something gets done. But it get done too late, and it shouldn't have took fans and done to what happened, and it's documented, and the fans, I don't agree with it. Again, but we've spoken about it in previous pods. But obviously, I do agree, mate, that if the board should get a lot of praise if we do win the league this year. Obviously, they've caused their own issues. We obviously, last year and the year before, we know obviously recruiting well, no recruiting a good manager, and no maybe implementing things behind the scenes a bit better. But if they win the league this year, they've got to get a bit of praise, because, like you say, they've backed them blind. For me, I just picking them himself. I think they've trusted him on his knowledge of the game and knowledge of the players he's signing. So I totally agree, mate, that this is, for me, like we said a few weeks ago, this is Ange's ball now. This is Everton's own Ange now.
Yeah.
And none of this weeding in time now, none of this game a few months. This is where Ange, for me, this is what Ange's ball kicks off, and it's his team, it's his squad, and from now on, whatever happens, if it's bad, if it's good, he takes the flak and he takes the praise.
Well, that's it, Ryan, and I think that's the way he wanted it as well, because he spoke about that early on when he won his first couple of interviews. You know, and that's what he says. I'll take the dairy for whatever happens here. He says, but I'll back my players to the hilt as long as they give me the same backing and dedication that I give them. That was all he asked for, and that's all he wanted. But you're right, Ryan, the board, they deserve praise in terms of bringing Ange to the club, and then backing them the way they've backed him. Because recently, in recent years and years gone by, when was the last time you saw our board being proactive instead of reactive?
Even with Rodgers, mate, they weren't even that active. They were very high with him. I don't know if that's why he pissed off as well, but even with Rodgers, mate, they weren't as early signs.
Well, the January window hadn't even opened up, mate. It was Hugman and we announced 3 signings there. And I think a lot of the Celtic fans, including myself, I mean, some of us are shell-shocked still with the new. How quickly business was done. We're normally scraping the barrel, and then transfer deadline day comes, and it's normally about 2 or 3 loan deals we've brought in. We've had a couple of transfer windies where it's got to deadline day and it's like, we tried to get him.
Aye, it's always tried, isn't it?
He wasn't coming because we couldn't get him Jenga. Jenga wasn't available in the Argos sale, so he wasn't. Just some nonsense. Like, you know, we tried to get him. We got gazumped.
Aye.
At the last minute. That was embarrassing. I mean, see, that's your manager, Ryan, sitting on a live press conference, and he says, yeah, I mean, Ben Davis was coming, and this was done, and that was done, and but at the end of the day, we got gazumped. And just like, get out. No, I mean, just there the door. Off. I just, at that point, mate, I just had enough. Because it was just one thing after another. And every time he came on the telly, mate, he was just that angry. And he didn't like people asking him questions, Brian. And then the whole Dubai fiasco. And it was just like, 90% of this is your fault. Like, you're the manager. You're the one that makes decisions about what's happening with the club. You actually think in your heat that it was good during a pandemic, regardless of what authorisation you had for any source, whoever told you it was okay to go. You thought it was still all right during a global pandemic to take you and your whole squad. Honestly, I don't really know many with that thought process in their mind, mate. But it's just like, you've got to be having a laugh. He takes a guy also who's injured, nowhere near recovery, nowhere near it, probably not even rehabilitating with the team at the time. Takes him and he ends up with COVID. And 14 of them all had to self-isolate because they were close contacts to him.
Roughly, mate, aye.
It's just embarrassing, man. It's just totally... And we're seeing the total polar opposite of that now, mate. We're not getting anything like that now. The decision that's been made is best for the club. Every thought process is all rational. Right away, Hans was very quickly, we're not going to one weather training camp. Bang. We're not going to a one weather training camp. The league had shut down early. We'd asked for it to be done because obviously we're a club that likes to have our fans present. There was only one club in the league that was prepared to shaft the fans just to keep their own, you know, their own ego trip alive at the time. And obviously the rest of the league seen common sense and thought it was decent, because if you think about the aspect of, just if I talk sake, the winter break didn't get brought forward and the games weren't to be played, there was teams in the Premier League, mate, would have suffered.
Oh, big time.
Not having gate receipts and match day programmes bought, and you said earlier on about merchandising, and so there's teams in the Premier League who aren't great financially, even though they're playing in the Premier League. So don't be kidded if you think, you know, they're playing in the Scottish Premier League. Means nothing. Not everybody's in the same sort of boat as Celtic, and, you know, in terms of they're lucky that they've got nest eggs sitting by that, you know, Celtic are one of the very few that have been prolonged would have survived COVID, right? Had that went any further in terms of where it went to, like if it proceeded any longer, I don't doubt, mate, even League One, League Two, Championship teams would have probably went out again, wouldn't they?
Probably, mate, aye.
Really, really financially dire straits. And you've got a club there who willing to overlook all that just to self gratification, because we all know why, because they thrive in an empty stadium.
Well, I think last Wednesday proved it.
Definitely, absolutely, 100%. But they thrive in an empty stadium, you know, because they're serial bottlers only under pressure in an empty stadium. It's no bad playing against anybody. I could play against anybody when I've not got thousands and thousands of people shouting after me. But when it comes to the crunch and you're then asked to produce the goods under pressure, because you know the type of person you're, the character of you, mentality of you, you're always going to struggle under that pressure. Weak mentality, and what was the other one? We have a weak mentality, and the other one was we have lost the hunger. Absolute quote. That was, see, when he said that thing, you knew right away. You were like, nah, that's it. There's kind of no. In my opinion, if somebody in my dressing room goes and does an interview, when he comes back into the dressing room, that's his last appearance in the dressing room. That's just the way. When I used to play football, he would have got kicked up and down the training field.
Aye, mate. I've been dressing rooms myself. Guys have been, know me because I'm not a fighter, mate. I'm a lover. I've been never had something against the ball, but I've seen captains in my team, especially when I was playing pro youth, guys fighting and guys arguing and you're fucking this and that, because guys want to win. See, if you've won one trophy and you're seeing you've lost the hunger, dear me, man, that's for me. That's a Neil Lennon comment that Golston says. That's something Lennon would say, or like he says when the players don't want to play for me. You don't say that in public. You keep that in closed doors, and you say to, if it's Ninchan, Edward, whoever it was, you say to them behind closed doors. For him to come out and say that, and the captain to come out a few ago and say we can't play under pressure. Come on, man. See, if you're a Rangers fan and you're still giving some of the guys your full support after they're committing no giving you your full support.
Right, it's not that. He then alluded to the weak mentality part of it.
Huh?
It must be a weak mentality.
You can't say that. You can't.
Can you picture Scott Brown doing an interview like on BT Sport after the Celtic game and saying, do you know what? We get scalped 7-0 already with PSG because we've got a weak mentality. Oh, he'd have been hunted. Absolutely hunted.
But us after we lost obviously 10-0, right? Imagine Scott Brown came out and said, you know what, guys? We've won 9 in a row. We lost the hunger this year. The mentality isn't there. We couldn't be asked this year because we've lost the hunger to win trophies. You'd be like, what? You would generally, Scott Brown, everything he's just done would be, as Lennon says, gazumped. It'd be away. It'd be away.
Right out the window.
Everything everybody's done at Celtic for the night last night who's still in that team would be away. You can't come out and say things like that, and that's why I would say guys like Scott Browns and your McGregors, they don't get involved in the media. They keep themselves to themselves, and that's why as well where they are, because they don't get involved in that stuff, and that's why they're so professional and they've done so well in the game.
Yeah. I also want to touch on Cal's reaction to the Chris Boyd scenario. I thought it was dealt with class. It was dealt with a bit of class. Aye,
it was, mate. He could have come out and based out him, and he didn't. He just says, had a conversation, it's moved on. We all know he's probably had a word that we called him a F and this and that. What are you talking about? But I think, again, it shows you the class for me as your captain. And obviously, I know, talking about maybe, I would say it's maybe a decent move as well. Leigh Griffiths has moved to Falkirk. We did hear about it yesterday on the podcast. He's moved to sign for Falkirk supposedly at the end of the season. Supposedly Griffiths says he just wants to enjoy his football again, which is fair enough. He might go to Falkirk and he's probably going to be a high five player as well. I'd imagine he's probably on a decent bit of wage there because he's that a big wage for Celtic and Dundee. I know we touched on it yesterday again. It could be a good move for both parties. I know I've seen a bit of people having banter about Leigh Griffiths and Burns and all that, and I'm thinking, listen, just get a buy now. The guys just want to play football. he's hopefully for his own benefit, he'll go there and do well, and hopefully it'll help his outside of life as well. And because for yourself, JP, if your work life's good, outside of life's a bit better. So hopefully Falkirk can get the fruits, because I think he's only about 31, so he's no finished. But again, I did say that I do believe that if this doesn't work out for him, I think he'll be playing with junior football within 2 years. I think that's where his career's going to go. So I think this might be his last chance alone to maybe do something at this time in his career.
I agree with you, mate. I just hope he doesn't waste the opportunity, because he's passed up so much good work, and he's just kind of let things go previously, as we've seen. Whatever reason they may be. He had an opportunity, Ryan. He was very privileged, mate, to have been given an opportunity to play for a club that we all love. He did that well for various parts of that, but in his latter spell of his deal, that kind of went a bit bitter and pear-shaped for him in the end. And that was due to probably a lack of full dedication. You could tell that his actions spoke louder than words, right? Is what I mean in terms of that. To us, it looked like he wasn't giving his all. He was lazy. He comes back. We've won 9 in a row. He comes back to challenge 10 in a row, and he comes back overweight. His first point of call, he's left at home as his fellow companions go over to France to start their pre-season in a tournament, and he's left here. And it happened 2 seasons in a bounce. He done the exact same with Ange. When the players went to Wales, he was left here because he wasn't fit. So I really hope he doesn't do the same, because he is a very talented boy. When he's on his game, he's probably one of the best. We've actually got a goalkeeper between our sticks right now. If you ask me, Ryan, in the last 20 years, he's probably scored the best 2 Scotland goals I've ever saw against that goalie. Joe Hart was a goalkeeper for England that day. 2 free kicks, and they're 2 of the best free kicks I've ever watched in my life.
Unbelievable.
And he done it back to back as well. He done can he do it again? Boom, goal, bang, goal. Unbelievable. And also this season, Joe Hart's a very, very good goalkeeper, mate. So it's not easy to do that to Joe Hart twice, let alone do it once. And I'm just wondering now, I know the boys brought that up, mentioned it to Joe Hart, just as a wee laugh, last time you were up, one of the last times you were up here, even going to the semi-final there, one of the last times you were at Hampden, big fella, we all knew what happened there, wee bit of banter. Because I know, if I was in that dressing room, I said something to him, I'd have been noising him up about it. Being Scottish, and obviously, so, like say, that's a Griffiths we all loved, right? Then you look back at that footage, just look at that clip, that footage. He was a lot thinner, he was sharper, the Leigh Griffiths now, for what we saw that, even this season with Dundee, he just looked miles away. Obviously he's dropped my level, so he's been doing into League One. Again, for me, Falkirk are a very good side. They should probably be higher than where they are. There are probably been mismanaged, yeah, in terms of the last couple of years, definitely. Because they've had a lot of talented players, and a lot's went to waste, and things haven't happened properly the way it should have. I just hope he takes this opportunity. He's only got to, as far as I know, it's only until the end of the season, not. I just hope he takes the opportunity and gets back to just the basics, right? Just score goals. Just do what your wages are there for. You're there to score the team goals. You're there to contribute to the team. You're there to be active for the team. Keep away from all the nonsense that's happening and sidetracking you away from what you do best, because it's a shame, because he's became a wasted talent, mate, the last couple of years. And I just hate to see, because again, mate, I'm here talking about him. He's out there playing football. He's doing something I've always wanted to do. I've always loved doing. And even playing 5-a-sides nowadays, mate, I still love kicking a ball. Can you imagine what the feeling would be like, me and you, if we were paid to do it?
I know.
Paid to lace up your boots in the morning, paid to go out and jog, and mate, I'd be up and out my bed. I'd be one of the first ones at training every morning if I knew I was getting wages. But and it wouldn't even need to be, miraculous amounts of money you see getting branded about. See, if you were giving me something like 500 quid a week, I'd be like, you're beauty, just for doing what you love. So I find it baffling, mate. Everybody's got problems in their lives. There's no a guy or a woman on this planet that possibly doesn't have a problem in their life, one or two at least. Families, and everybody's got family, and everybody's got this and everything. So we've all got to do with, we've all probably got that in common. We've all got day-to-day things that we've probably all got similar. We just do it different ways for everybody else. Everybody does things differently. I understand that. But he gets paid for what we would call a privilege to play football. So you would think his attitude would improve a wee bit. Instead of that kind of, drained, sort of grumpy look on his face now that you're seeing, and it's just a real shame, mate. I don't know what you feel yourself, Ryan, but I just think that for one reason or another, boom.
I agree, mate. It is a bit of a fall for grace going for Celtic. We had the chance at Celtic at the start of the season and then going into League One. It's a big fall for grace, I would say. Again, I just hope he does get himself back trim again. And like he says, he did come back overweight and stuff. He wasn't just the only one, so it just shows as well. I don't understand players need to get themselves fit. Players need to look after their own bodies and everything else. But there was also something going behind the scenes at the club if they were allowing that. See the way it was the same. See if you're not performing, get out of the squad. The same as Shane Duffy last year, right? Shane Duffy wasn't playing well. We all know he's a better playing what he showed because he's shown it this year. But Neil Lennon continued to play him. Just get him out of the squad. Don't even fucking play him. Get him out. Like you say, just to get him out, Sean. Get him out. Just get him out. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But I agree, mate. I just hope the guy can get a bit of belief back about yourself and get yourself back to him. And because we all know he shouldn't be playing at League One level. I'm not saying he should be at Celtic, but he should be playing in the Scottish Premier League. He shouldn't be in League One level. At the age he is. That's maybe we should maybe playing at maybe he's 33, 34. I just hope he can get himself back fit again. There were circumstances at his own detriment that he's not been playing with Celtic or playing at a higher level, or he's progressively went down, and it could be other things that have went maybe you don't know about. It's internal, we don't know. But I do agree, mate, that it's a shame that he's went to where he's went to for fall for grace. Obviously, it was almost 6 years ago he was showing the free kicks, and now he's playing at the Falkirk Stadium. Again, no disrespect to Falkirk, but considering where he's came from, it's a bit of fall for grace. But again, they're still a full-time club. He's still, as you say,
even his international career, Ryan.
He's finished. And
even his international career as well is just when Scotland, when we had a good chance, he was part of the, he took a penalty to help us to qualify for the Euros.
Well, like you say,
and then he wasn't at the Euros. I mean, as a person, mate, how would you feel? Like, what have I done wrong? Do you know what I mean? Where am I going wrong here?
I know he had the chance. He had the chance to get to Euros last year because I think he was kind of back in the Celtic squad, and then he fell out it again. I know he was disappointed not to get called up. I know for me, I was saying, I know he was out of form, but I thought considering how many strikers we have and the quality we have, I thought he still should get called up. But obviously, maybe looking back now, Steve Clark made the right choice because he might not have been in the right frame of mind and the right body shape to play at that level. I agree, mate. I think hopefully he does well for himself, and I'm not going to say recover his reputation, but recover a bit his own belief. And I don't think fans will change their mind on him. I think that's finished. I think the fans will obviously have a gripe against him. I don't think that will ever change. But to me, as a Celtic fan, I think what he done for Celtic in so many years, he's gave me some of the best games I've ever been to. So on that note, I hope he does obviously stay with Falkirk. But again, obviously, mate, Aberdeen, what's your kind of predictions and thoughts about the game?
I think it'll be a comfortable victory for us, Ryan. I can't see anything but a comfortable victory. Because as I say, it's going to really, something miraculous is going to have to happen for that Celtic team to be stopped now. A lot of freight train, and they're going full steam ahead. And I touched on it previous pods, mate. It's factory flair, full throttle. Here we go, business end of the season, and this is, like I say, all your big players come to fruition for you. And then you start asking questions the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Can you match us? Because if you can't, you're going to be left behind. Simple. And they've sent out a big message now to across the water. Okay, they got a decent victory at the weekend. But I'm just not quite sure, Ryan, mentally, that they're going to be able to keep doing that and keep coming from behind. Because when pressure's put upon a few of them, mate, now they crumble. And I just can't seem to get my mind there that, you know, there's one or two of them in the squad, mate, that just, they're maybe weak mentality statements and we've lost the hunger. But how do you come back for that? Like, seriously, like, even inside you as a person, if you even don't believe what you're saying, why say it? So you're looking at other members of the squad, and I couldn't be pals with somebody in my team, right? I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to go. I'd be like, you're just an absolute so and so. Do you know what I mean? And that would be up. My mind would be made up.
Yeah.
So I really do think momentum will be gained in terms of we will push out in front of them eventually. And we've still to play them twice, right? And last week's performance, mate, I'll be lucky to beat us once, let alone beat us anywhere near twice. I would even say the next game, even a draw, doesn't help me, but it helps us. That's not what I'm saying. I want us to go and do, by the way.
Yeah.
I would rather go and beat them the same way we beat them at Parkhead. But as I said, mate, I really can't see. I can't see us faltering. See the squad getting stronger, sharper, and I think they're more looking forward to the next game now because they are now becoming accustomed to Angie's way of playing, the Ange ball, and it's got to be enjoyable. It's got to be, because I know I'd be loving it if I was part of that squad. So, you know, for me, it's got to be enjoyable because I'm loving it. I'm loving every bit of what I'm watching. I don't know about you, mate.
I'm the same as you, mate. Aberdeen game, I think it should be a comfortable victory we were playing. I think Aberdeen will try and take a game to us, but I think eventually the game, I think will be too quick, too fast and too good. I agree, mate. I'm enjoying every game now, and see when you're watching games now and the play stops, you're like, fuck, get the ball, hurry up and play. You're not wanting the games to stop, you're not wanting the chances to stop, and every goal gets in, you're celebrating, but you're like, oh, this is fucking superb again. The feeling's getting back. See when Rogic scored that second, I was just like, oh, this is fucking superb football. What my old man would call fancy football. That's what it is. It's just fucking FIFA stuff. Yeah. I'm a you, mate. I'm enjoying every minute as it stands in the moment. Hopefully the more doesn't end, but I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow again. Sadly, again, it can't be there because of the ticket situation. But I'm looking forward to the game, and hopefully they put on another show for us. But again, JP, good chatting to you about a lot of other things. Again, it's I know we're a Celtic podcast, but it's good to get into other different parts of the football and Scottish football. It's a good chat, and hopefully people like it as well. Again, mate, thanks for your time, mate. Hail, hail.
Not a problem, mate. Pleasure. Hail, hail.